I think that, I may have said this to you earlier today. I talked with somebody earlier today when I was telling somebody that I had agreed to come here tonight, and then I had this feeling like, what was I thinking of, because I'm going to sit here with young people in today. But I remember very, very clearly when I was growing up that I thought my parents had no sense whatsoever, and I really didn't listen to them very much intentionally, but of course subliminally I heard everything they said. But so I think generationally, generally people, younger people think that old people do not have as much sense as they do, but I'll tell you what's really important, which what I did in my life, and I encourage every person in this room, especially the younger people, to find that person in your life who you can relate to and have conversations with that person. Find yourself a mentor. It doesn't have to be a program to get a mentor, If you like the way somebody's talking, you just go up and talk to them and ask them to be your mentor. And it's happened to me, and I have some really nice relationships. And in my life, I have older people older than me that I look to the guidance. So my personal experience is that older people do have more wisdom than I do.
To her benefit, I want you all to know that Leslie Haynes is world-renowned as a peace activist. She knew El Hajj Malik Shabazz Malcolm X, and she sat on the front row of the I Have a Dream March on Washington with she and her husband. She's been a 50-year member of the NAACP. I had the privilege of driving Reverend Ralph Abernathy. I worked in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference national office, and I watched that generation that now would be considered great-grandparents and grandparents and parents to us. And it was a phenomenal generation that gave us two of the greatest minds in human history, in Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It was a generation that lost, that 25 of our greatest minds were murdered, were assassinated. And had they not been, what would this country be like? I sat at Martin Luther King's desk 14 years after he died. I was the national director of colleges and students for SCLC. And I was with Hosea and many of those who worked with Dr. King. It was an extraordinary and incredible generation. And other than the generation of Mosiah Marcus Garvey and some of those great minds then, I would say that that generation was hard to beat, and that this generation, my generation and the generations two after that, certainly leave something to be desired. They can't touch that. That's one of a kind of national, international history.
You guys set the foundation, you did, but you dropped the ball. You dropped the ball. And it's been my generation, if anything. Yes, we have crime and stuff going on, but I see so many potential lawyers and doctors that are ready to pick up the ball that you guys dropped. So you set the foundation, you did, and we thank y'all for that, and you are absolutely right. We won't be able to touch that, but what we can do is we can get better. So for the ball that y'all dropped, people like me are gonna pick it up. So you don't have to worry about that.
Also, what I'd like to say is that, yes, we're not knocking the past generation, because we had people like Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Shabazz, we had the Civil Rights Movement, we had the Black Panther Party. We had a lot of great minds, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, Bobby Seale. Only thing is, it was, where did it go? How come we are still not today reaping the benefits? Why are we even having these dilemmas? Why are we even having this debate right now? Why isn't it that we don't obtain true liberation? When will we finally obtain our true liberation? And the thing is, the past generation has sought the foundation, but the thing is, somewhere down the line, there was failure. And in this generation, we will not fail. I promise you that we will not fail. We will do whatever it takes to succeed, so that the next generation won't have to have a debate about our problems, and all we're going to be doing is seeing our benefits and all solutions.
Just as a rebuttal and clarification, I want you all to know that I can't take part. I can't take credit for that generation that I was alluding to. We, my generation, did drop the ball. I'm speaking about my parents, and the generation you would consider your great-grandparents. That's the generation that I'm alluding to. I would say that we utterly dropped the ball, that we fell into many things. And, you know, Kwanzaa Quadruple said it best from Rochester. They stole it, but you must return it. You got to be the ones to recover it, and I didn't have to wear that.
I think it's unfair to say that we can't touch Martin Luther King's generation. I feel like you're saying that it's selling ourselves short. I feel like we can accomplish. Like, if we have that mentality, then we're not going to, and that's why we haven't progressed in so long. So I believe we can touch Martin Luther King's generation. We just have to believe in ourselves, in the past generation, we need to believe in our generation. We're so doubted that we don't believe in ourselves most of the time. But we can touch that generation. We just gotta believe in us, we gotta believe in ourselves, we gotta work together, look past the differences of the generations and move forward.
Yeah, I'd just like to say something about the phrase of you. I hear this a lot. When I'm out in the community, I hear a lot, surprisingly amount of people who say to me, well, you being a white person, you did this to me and you did that to me. I would like that word in there. Some of you did this, because not every single person. And so I would say to you, some of the seniors, some of them dropped the ball, but not all. And I'm sitting here, I'm seeking people to pass the baton to. You know, the gentleman there, he knows, I chatted with him, I tried to give him information. We didn't even know each other, and I was talking to him about learning. So we are sitting here with a burning desire, this is going as well, to pass that baton to all of you, because we want you to be able to, you know, go forward in life and teach the next generation. We're tired, you know, we're tired, but none of us are going to give up. But it's just if you could say some of you guys, some of you.
Okay, now this is true, and I don't know if Mr. Fisher had heard of it, but I saw it in the Buffalo News the other day. I read a lot, I read all between the lines. At one time, there was a brown bag test among some black sororities. If the brown bag was put against your skin and you were darker than the bag, you were not acceptable to that particular sorority. So the phrase, black get back, brown stick around, light you already. Do we still, as black folks, discriminate among each other in terms of color?
Today, in today's society, yes, we do. There's a lot of, things that go around being said towards skin color. Just, I don't understand why, but I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, we still go through the same things. But the problem is, it's like if you go back to the Willie Lynch letters, you know what I'm saying? When you look at the Willie Lynch, his whole point was to have us divided. Because if he could divide us within our own selves, then you already can't touch the enemy, because you killing your own brother. And even we look at today with the same slave mentality, we got all these rough, buff, cheap keeps out here ready to kill each other. Who's ready to go kill the true oppressor? And that's the only thing, is like, you know, we have all this hate and animosity towards our own self, but when it comes to our enemy, we want to be chumps. And it's sad, because like why should I have to hate you because you lighter than me, or why should you hate me because I'm a little darker than you? We all come from Warren. So I mean, that's just stupidity in my opinion.
Yes. To me, I mean, look, can we just stop? Like to me, it's a waste of, like, when we sit up here and we continue to just color, 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 color. You know, it's just, to me, it's played out. I didn't have to live in the 60s and in the 50s and the 40s. I felt oppression. I know what it feels like because I've been racially profiled. I've gone through stuff like that. But for us as a black people to look at each other, why she gotta be red and why she gotta be dark skinned? She black as ever. You know, like you're demeaning yourself. So then why would why would you do something like that when you're sitting around people that come exactly from where you come? Whether or not they're brown, purple, yellow, or green, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's just, it makes no sense. And I don't try to make sense of things that I don't want to understand. So I just don't know.
I'd like to respond to what the panel has shared with you, because the question is a legitimate question that must be asked. The reality is, there's still a color code. And if you don't believe me, go to the Links organization, which only can have 57 people in any city. And if you look at the Links or the some of the other organizations, prestigious organizations, it is still a predominant color thing. It should not be, and we should not have that kind of mindset. We should understand what Africanness is, what our blackness is about. But sadly today, if you talk to Sister Mabel Thomas, state legislator in Georgia, she would tell you, she named 30 key leaders in Atlanta and in the ATL. And she said, now these men, regardless of what color they were, let's look at the color of their wife. And 25 of them were high yellow. And she said that to me and shamed me because I didn't agree with her. I said, we shouldn't get that. She said, you don't know what it's like. Marvin Arrington couldn't become mayor because he was too black in Atlanta. So we need to understand to drive away this mindset and this bad thinking, this stinking thinking. We must root it out, but we must confront it. We can't just deny that it doesn't exist because it still sadly exists in America, in black America. And we must rise up and repudiate that. We can't do that unless we confront it. And that's what Sister Mabel did to me, and telling me that it is key. And in some places, you try and get into some organization, you can't get it if you're not the right color. So sadly, we still have to evolve. Knowledge is power. Self-knowledge and self-love will drive that away. But there's still work to be done so that when the next time we sit down with our top 100, that we won't see a color code and 80% of them being a certain color. We've got to get past that.
I have to make a comment here. I taught kindergarten for 5 years of the 30 years that I taught in the public schools. And it was very sad to see these 5-year-old children making fun of each other because one was darker than the other. So I brought a book in called Colors Around Me. And in that book, I showed the beautiful colors of black folks because we come in all colors. And I wanted them to remember, and I want everyone in here to remember, the black of the berry, the sweet is the
What'd you say?
Is that discrimination right there?
Yeah, I don't like talking about color.
It's better
they
than
don't
music
color
of the past. Hip hop, rap
Oh Lord,
versus blues, soul music, rock and roll.
it's all an
Have we learned
abomination.
from each other's music? Any way you want.
Well, because I rap, and I've been rapping for a long time, and I've been doing music, and I am absolutely a fan of music back in the day, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and stuff like that. But that spunk that I get in my music and that I'm seeing in music nowadays, it's a little bit more bolder. But I mean, let's be honest, back in the day, they were singing them sweet songs with them little cover-ups, but you really know what they was talking about. They wanted you to do the same thing, what they talking about now. It's just a little bit softer, maybe a little bit humbler, you know, like, but, you know, I just feel like music today, people, If you don't want your children to hear it, then cut off the radio. Because realistically, the radio's not going anywhere. Lil Wayne's not going anywhere. Clearly, The Game, any of them are not going anywhere. 2 Chainz and them are going to be around for years to come. So if you do not want your children to experience that music, then you need to isolate your children in a bubble. But I would say, back in the day, it was a little bit softer, but now they just get straight to the point. Music is music. It's a way of expression. You might not always agree with it, but you know, somebody else liked it even if you didn't. So it all comes down to what you choose to listen to.
Also, like, music is like what you make it. And so I feel as if the only problem is today we have a lot of the artists and everything, and the problem is what's being said. And it's not really productive message for a lot of people because that won't sell. And what a lot of them is they want to get what's going to make them money. And so a lot of people that's like with the Bob Marley, like that's conscious music, uplifting. And but now where is that today in our generation? How many young people know about uplifting music? And it's not to knock our hip hop or any of these things, because these are things that could be used to motivate us, like certain older artists did, like KRS-One. It's just that the problem is today, a lot of these artists are being sold out by the corporate world so that they can keep on giving you unconscious things. They keep giving that unconscious energy going into your system instead of things to motivate you. And you know about like Judy Mowat, Black Woman, that can uplift the Black woman. And see, music could be a powerful tool for our people, because even before we became American, after we always had music, we banging our drums, and it was something conscious with music. So music is not our enemy, but we just have to be able to control music and not allow music to control us and keep us on a lower level of consciousness.
One well-known star said it like this: that black music, that crack music, we took that blank and rolled it and shook it and cooked it, and now when they have us as cooks and nannies, we got Grammys. That's that black music, that crack music, that black music.
I don't know. I don't even know what to ask. You got something to ask me? You got something to say?
And listen to jazz. So I do like music, but I can understand the words. That's kind of a preference. Whatever the words are, I do like to know what you're talking about.
I'm trying to get that brother number with the Black Panther hat on.
That's the only preference I would have.
He look like he a little nauseous for a young brother.
My favorite music is jazz, and I love jazz. I just love jazz. Thank you.
Okay.
Let me just say that I've studied music, the roots of music. All of our music, whether it's hip hop or rap or blues or whatever, has its origins and its roots in Africa. So we need to remember that as a people. Oh, you have a comment. Go ahead.
The word species makes every living form one, right? And music was made to tame the beast. Since we are all one, everybody has an animal instinct inside them. That different beast is different music. So their music, tamed them back in their time. And the beast got a little wilder, so they had to make the music wilder.
Oh my God, no damn sense. No damn sense at all.
I'm asking two things here. In my generation growing up in the projects on Clinton and Jefferson, we had games. We had the pythons. We had the matadors. And the what was it? Turks.
She said games.
And they fought. They had their turn. I I wanted to ask Mr. Fisher, from his position as starting the Bill organization, how those gangs were viewed in those days. And then I want to ask, because I keep hearing in the news media, and I'm not in with the young people as much, how are the gangs in our community? And how would you look at those gangs that we have today? So I'm asking two different things here. Were they more violent? Less violent?
They were less violent, but they did not have the access and the proliferation of guns that came through an invasion of 200 stores that came into this community 20 years ago and sold bad food, drugs, and guns. Had those guns been available, it might have been different. But clearly, Sister Doyle, one of the things that did happen that made Buffalo different from other cities, Brother Johnny Wiley, Brother Yaya, and many of those who moved into the State Division and initiated those street worker programs, the most successful DFY programs in the nation were in Buffalo. So much of the gang movement was diffused in the 70s by Brother Johnny Wiley, whose stadium now we honor. They did a serious work. Bill Burroughs and those, Sister Dora, they were in the basement of Calvary Baptist Church, and they did a movement. Unfortunately, those resources that they had at their disposal, that created the Maston Park and created so many of the group homes, aren't available today. But the street worker program, the most successful program, strangely was abolished. Today, there's far more violence because there's far more access to guns. And I remember those gangs, they fought it out, and then they fought it out, and they fought it out, and maybe there was a stabbing or two, rarely, but very few of them actually had the kind of guns that you can get now just by going to Ohio or to your neighborhood local deli store. And so that's part of the issue there, that they didn't have 200 invading stores coming in their community, proliferating the community with guns every day.
If I may, some of the Teens in Progress, we went over to the Buffalo News, and we took a tour of the building, the facility. And what the most interesting thing to me, when we were in the lobby waiting for some to arrive, we looked at the old newspapers that were laying out there in glass cases there. And I was really startled to see, I wasn't in Buffalo during, in that time, but and those newspapers are from the 30s and the 40s. And there were dozens of murders on those papers, but they were knifings. And I just thought, I was just reading it, and just found it interesting that there was violence in those days, but it wasn't with guns, it appeared to be with knives. And I was, and some of the things that you're reading, that we were reading that day, we could have been reading today's newspaper, to be quite honest. It was the 1930s. So I'm not so sure that things were so great back in the day. Thank you.
All right, with gangs today, see, the thing is, the reason why gangs are a lot more violent today than it was back in the 60s, 70s, and the last generation is because this generation is a reckless generation. We just don't care as a whole. People just go and die just because. And the thing is, it's because they're not taught. They don't have no education, and they're being misled. The media is always promoting it's just violence out there. So it's just our children is a product of the environment. And the problem is the fact that we look at these gang members as like somebody to be like taboo. And the thing is, these are still your people. And the thing about it though is you have to educate them. And instead of looking at them and having distaste towards them, how about you come and treat them right? How about you feed them? And how about you clothe them? And how about you talk to them and see what their problem is, counsel them, because they're still your children. And then also on top of it, my thing is, when you really want to take it to the next level and come with a utopia and have it for freedom for all people, and the thing is, the evil fascists will come in and try to rid you out of your power. So I look at these gang members that you're talking about as our front line of defense for when we come about with this utopia and this socialist system, hopefully for all, equality to all people. And that's ultimately what we want anyways, is to bring about equality to all people. And so for that, you're gonna need them people that's in the street that's already got that rah-rah energy to help you, because those could be your future soldiers for the next generation. And so that's how come I love the gang members. Bring more to me so then I can give them books and educate them them, and so that when we really do this, I can have them on my front line so that we can get this job done, because this job will get done.
Recently, I was attending court in a case that a 16-year-old young man had been murdered. He was stabbed 54 times, and his throat was slit. And I went with the family to the court, and I would agree. Frankly, to me, gangs have pretty much been like a sense of family for people if there's, maybe a need of sense of family or whatever. But young people, I would really caution you on who's recruiting you into their group. Because I witnessed there were 3 16-year-old boys, 1 dead, and 2 are now in jail, 25 to life. And the real person, the real instigator of that murder was an initiation. And they had to do this murder in order to please the gang leader and to join that gang. Young people, I caution you, if someone's talking to you in that manner, step back, listen to your parents, find other friends, because these young people are sitting there, they're in jail, and they will not speak against, we know who did the murder. That person's still up in North Buffalo, probably sitting, having wings as we're talking, probably having pizza or something, and could care less. I'm telling you that they take your mind and they try to just make you do things just to be part of their group. Really pay caution to that, because it's a tragedy. There's 3 16-year-olds, two in jail and 1 in the grave. And then you've got, I'm sitting at the courthouse, you've got the families of all of them sitting there, total wreckage and carnage of the families who love these boys. So please, please be careful before you make that decision to join a gang. Make it a healthy gang. The churches have gangs, right? I mean, you can have a healthy sports gangs.
Also, one more thing, when you say about gangs, the whole world is ran by gangs. The police department is a big gang in and of itself. And the thing about it, though, is you have to be able to realize that don't get mad at your force, because your force is the one that's going to protect you when it's all said and done. Like, a lot of people look back at the Black Panther Party as something, I don't know about them, but that was the line of defense for our people back in the day. And if it was for them, they could have kept on killing us at ease. And so the thing about it is, no matter what, you need those people that have that energy. Because if you don't, believe me, when you really try to make that move, COINTELPRO will come in and shoot you down. So you better have some people ready to back you up.
I just want to make a comment. I do a lot of disaster training in case we have disasters. And on one of our training sessions, we said that one group of people that we need to call on in our community to police our community would be the gangs in the communities where we live, especially the gang leaders. So I respect that, because I know when push comes to shove, I know the ones who are going to be out there in the forefront. I'm going to ask someone to come up and read the next 3 questions for me, if you don't mind. This is Teresa Pope, who is a former principal, assistant principal. She's going to read the next 3 questions, and then I'll return.